Hey everyone, long time no see. Welcome back to the I Can't Have Nice Things YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a top 5 tips on truck bed camping because I've been asked a lot of questions over the last 2.5 weeks about this camper. We've been on vacation and I'd like to put a couple tips out there. Okay, I'm going to start this off with a basic truck bed camper tip. It doesn't matter if it's a 2020 or a 1980. A basic toolkit is always a good idea. Adjustable wrenches always come in handy. Needle nose pliers always come in handy. Something to maybe strip some wires with. Your basic screwdrivers and socket set. It's very important to have a toolkit. Stupid things from battery connections coming loose to we've had handles come loose. The interior locks have loosened up on us, and actually just on this trip we just got back from yesterday, this whole unit here actually broke off. The lens fell off. We ran it over with the boat here, and this was hanging down. Luckily, you know, we had the toolkit. We're able to re-secure that on there. But toolkit is always a great thing to have when you run into issues. After you have your toolkit all squared away, and we actually store that in our side cubbies here, the very next thing you want to probably get is some extension cords. I have 2 in here along with a power strip. Extension cords are extremely helpful when camping out of one of these, especially depending on where you're camping at, especially if you have power hookup. I can't tell you the number of times I've needed to run an extra cord to the camper for maybe a box fan out by the little gazebo, or, you know, setting up a small box fan for the kids to play on the ground. We tend to camp during the summer when it's extremely hot outside, so anything like that is always nice to have. Also, if you're camping with a boat and happen to have a multi-bank charger, being able to plug your boat in at the campground to charge it up for the next day of fishing is crucial. And you won't necessarily carry an extension cord on your boat at all times, so it's always nice to have extra extension cords, extra, you know, power strips, whatever you need in here. And if you're also dealing with an older camper, I could tell you some stories about some of these older campers I've had. The charging system in them, or the converter or inverter inside of it, has failed, and I've had to run the refrigerator, the AC unit, and anything else I needed inside the camper off of a power strip from a cord that I've run from the 110 at the campsite into the camper, because the 220 plug and the power supply in the camper has failed. These do fail. These will fail on older campers. This is an older camper now. This is 98, so this one will eventually break. And it's always nice to have, you know, a backup cord for whenever you need it, if you need it, and hopefully not for that. I know you saw a little bit ago, but what's missing here? The steps. I have seen people use all kinds of crazy things for steps to get out of their camper. I've seen people back their campers right up to picnic tables and use it as a big step to get out, which I'm not saying is a bad idea. That's very stable. But I've seen people use little step stools. I've seen wooden boxes. The thing that I really don't want people to use is a cooler. When you have people getting up in the middle of the night to use your restroom, if they're not using the onboard restroom, the worst thing you could do is have somebody step out in the cooler roll and they fall to the ground and get injured, especially on a a little camping trip. So a nice set of steps is pretty much essential, in my opinion. Pull these out. Pull these out. This thing here, this thing here drops right into this slot, kind of hangs, and then these steps extend. And it doesn't get much more stable than that. A good set of steps will make your camping much more comfortable. And these steps, because they're foldable, they're aluminum, and they're light, they are perfect. A lot of your newer campers, yes, they do come with this, but this is not necessarily just for newer campers. A lot of people don't buy brand new campers. A lot of people buy used campers. I will tell you, one of our original campers, we used a small step ladder. This is 10 years ago. And I had somebody stepping out of the camper one time. The ladder shifted forward and they fell and skimmed their heel, the back of their foot and their heel, all the way down that, and took all of the skin right off of it. It was not pretty. I'm sure it was painful and totally avoidable. A good set of steps can save the day. Now the very next thing I'm going to show you is how to set, is kind of a hack, kind of a tip on how to set these pop-up style campers down. This doesn't apply to anybody that has a hard side camper. This is strictly for soft or pop-up style campers. What I'm going to show you from inside is reversing the fan and the ceiling to suck out. When all the doors are closed and windows are closed, it creates a vacuum. When you lower this thing down, it will actually suck the sides in all at the same time, and it does it perfectly every time. We used to use what we called a pushy stick and actually push the side in. No longer is that needed. I have no idea if this is a normal tip that anybody does. I don't know if that's actually what you're supposed to do. I will tell you, I've never been told that by anybody else. I've never seen somebody do it, but create a vacuum with the roof fan and it will bring the sides in perfect for you almost every time. So let me show you what that looks like and we'll move on to the next one.
Fan on, it's sucking out. Dude, that thing's dirty. Fans on and sucking out are just absolutely great snowman sheets we have on here because we ran out of sheets this week. See the sides, how they're bulging in. Let it down, drop it down, let go. See how they kind of puff back up when you let it down a little bit further? Down. The vacuum of that fan is actually sucking the sides in for you. Just like that. So that has turned out to suck every bit of the sides of this camper in, so you don't have to walk around with your pokey stick and try to get them to come in. I don't know if that's a big hack for some people, but I tell you what, when I first started truck bed camping, I didn't know. All the way down and we're good.
And last, but absolutely not least, is the leg setup on your truck bed camper. This was kind of the inspiration behind this video. Everywhere we go, every state we're in, every campground we're at, somebody always says, hey, that's neat. Hey, that's a good idea. Hey, does that thing ride underneath there down the road just like that? Is that something you have to assemble at the campground? I get a question, you know, does it bottom out? Blah, 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 blah. So let me do a quick rundown of this setup here. This is an aftermarket setup used to make taking your truck on, or your camper on and off your truck, much easier. This is called a Stable Lift. Okay, I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything. When I found this setup, I thought, wow, what a great idea. The idea is that you get where you're going, take the camper off, lower it down, and then you have the truck to do whatever you want. You have the boat to do whatever you want. It's an extremely effective way to kind of make like a home base for your camping trips and still be able to use your truck and also tow a boat at the same time. This is how it's set up. This is an electric motor here in the center on that side, and then an electric motor here and electric motor here. The one thing you'll notice is there's two on this side and one on this side. When you lower this thing down, you can actually pivot this whole unit back and forth, you know, a little bit, a few degrees, to kind of level your camper out. So that's kind of the idea behind the dual on this side and the one on that side. You can kind of rock the camper back and forth. On the legs, they connect underneath. There is a bar that runs like a big loop that runs all the way around this entire thing. When this camper is down, if you watch my Lake Cumberland fishing video, I kind of walk around my camper as I'm showing you like my boat and whatnot. This is how it is on the truck. It rides underneath there, all in one piece. And as long as you don't bring it all the way up, as long as you don't bring it up into the drive shaft, you're good. This company is based out of Montana. It's an American-owned company that I believe started in Alaska. They produce these out of their own shop. None of this stuff is sent overseas. This is a real American company. I actually called them when I needed some fiddly switches in here, and I actually spoke to the son of the owner of the company. Super cool guy, and it was great conversation. He told me tons of information about these. I will tell you that there is a thing that I'm kind of missing on this truck. This truck wasn't purchased with the camper, and neither were these legs with this truck. But there is something that they mount to the frame to actually hold the camper to the truck. It's like a cup that comes down from the frame. When you bring the legs up, they rest inside that cup and actually sandwich the camper into the truck. So no need for these turnbuckles. So not only would you never have to restrap your camper ever again, but when you get to the campground, you literally just hit a couple of buttons and it drops down. You pull out, no straps or anything required. Very simple, extremely sturdy. And if I could say one thing that will make your truck bed camping experience better, is the ability to load and unload your camper easily. It doesn't get much more stressful than trying to unload your camper with people watching and you not knowing what you're doing. Or you're on uneven ground. Maybe your campground has a big pothole in it, or you're camping on the side of the road or something along those lines. Trying to remove these campers can be tedious and stressful. This 100% simplifies the unloading and loading of these campers. It takes 5 minutes off. When it's off, lower it to the ground, and it's absolutely stable. There's a couple of small turnbuckles that kind of keep the left to right sway out of it, the side to side sway out of it. Super easy to install, but if you have an older camper, they can fit these on there. They actually install these if you take it to the company themselves up in Montana. If you have an older camper, I've seen, if you have an older camper, they'll stick them on there. I actually saw a vintage full aluminum camper, like one of those rounded almost looks like an Airstream camper with one of these setups on it, and it looked great. And the guy said he took that thing everywhere. So if I could give one tip, one big thing to tell anybody who's going to do truck bed camping, look at the legs on the camper. If they look spindly, if they look like they're attached to the corner here and they're just going to fall off, or you can wiggle it, or the big ones for me were always up here. The ones that are attached up here and you can wiggle that thing, you know, be wary. They're not cheap by any means, but they are 100% worth it. And that's coming from somebody who goes and tries to pretty much do everything on the cheap, as cheaply as possible. And I'm 100% satisfied with these. Shoo-wee, it is hot out here today. So that's our top 5 video for the camper this week. It's kind of a shorter video. Like I said, we've been out of town for quite a while. We're going to jump back on the Pontiac as soon as we can. The wheels have turned out to be a bit more expensive than I anticipated, so that's going to take some time. But I'm going to try to get some more videos out of people's machines I've been working on in here, if I can, if I have time, and very busy at work. But I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you next time.